If you've heard of the shopping site Wish,
Wish? It's easy to wish.
you might not be familiar with AliExpress or Alibaba. Those are two additional type sites, and with these groups, you have a window into direct Chinese manufacturing for large production runs or single products that you can buy for yourself. So for fun, I decided to get on AliExpress to see what Chinese knockoff wallets of our well-known brands I could get. So I found 7 of them, which we'll look at today against the real thing. And so, are knockoff wallets better than the originals? Well, let's find out. I didn't include the Ridge, as I recently did a specific video on all the knockoffs available from Amazon, so you can find those in the notes below. But if you're interested in a Ridge knockoff on AliExpress, well, it sells for $10.45. Our first wallet is the Trayvax Element. As you can see here, let me give you a feel for the price. Well, the original, which is right here, is $69.99, $70. This knockoff is $11.45. The weight on this one is 97 grams. This one is 39 grams, and we'll show you why. So let's take a look at the original really quick. So the original has a very thick stainless steel metal insert, of which the leather is sewn to. And this leather is a full grain veg tan leather. You can see that it's fairly heavy in its weight that we have here, which is really good. And it's got a pull tab and the features you can see here. Now let's get into the knockoff. Well, here's the knockoff. As you can see, it's not as thick, both on this aluminum instead of stainless steel. And you can see that the leather is a very lightweight, and it is very light. You saw that based off of the weight that it has. Pull strap, so it looks to be the same, but let me show you something here. This is a very easy wallet to bend. Now, by comparison, this is a very thick stainless steel. There is no way that you are doing this by hand to try and bend it. There's just high quality here in what you get. So, there you go. Now let's look at the Aviator. This is the Classic, and this is their knockoff that we have here. And so we can immediately see some differences, which we'll talk about. But let's first talk about price. The original, the Aviator Classic, is $55. Now, both of these knockoffs each are $10.50. From a weight perspective, the original Aviator Classic here is 39 grams. The knockoffs are 48. Now, they're all made of aluminum, but the biggest difference between these, well, there's several. So you can see from this top notch here, and if we flip this over, you can see that the notch is just super, super big here on the knockoff. They have the same number of screws, although placement is slightly off. And of course, the thumb push slot is different, and that really comes down to the space taken up here for this notch. If we turn it over, this is where we begin to see a lot of difference by way of the wallets. So let me put the knockoff down. Let's pull the Aviator out, and we can see that we have a very nice top plate. It has this felt here, which helps keeps cash in place when you put it in. And of course, we have this tray. And then the other thing that we have is a liner. This liner that has the attachments from these screws. And in here is where you have your adjustment plate. You have the pins that allow you to adjust for the number of cards you put in. All right, so let's put that right here. And then we will look at the knockoff. The knockoff, if we take this top slider plate off, there's no fabric there. This is very thin, and I'm sure I could, bend it really, really easily. And for fair comparison, let's see if I can do that with the Aviator. Yeah, it's not as easy, but I definitely can do that. But let's go back to the comparison. And so what we've got is the original Aviator tray right here. We bring this out, we took the top plate off, and here's your other tray, okay? So we have the trays, and this is a machined component. You can just tell by the ridging in there. But the difference is how you get to this. Well, with the original Aviator, that's why this slides in right here, and why we have the notch on the top, because it provides a way to get your thumb and finger in here to get the tray out, okay? With this, on the knockoff, we don't have that option. You put this in here and it's lined up. So how do you get to it? Well, I guess you've got to fiddle with it. And maybe I need to re-bend this back enough here. There we go. Let's put this back into play. And you've got to be able to push the whole thing out. It's just not very convenient. That said, the bottom of the tray, under the tray here, you can see that the adjustment pins are completely exposed on the knockoff. And like I mentioned, they're not on the bottom here because it has this plate which protects it. Personally, I kind of like this more. Next is the SECRID Slimwallet that we have right here. And we have a knockoff that actually came with a little zipper component. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Let's look at the original price. So the original price on the SECRID Slimwallet is $90. This knockoff, $3.85. The original weight is 69 grams. The knockoff is 76 grams. It does have a zipper. Now, both are made from aluminum. So if we open these up here, you can see that both have an aluminum shell and they do function just the same. SECRID has been a heavily knocked off product for quite some time. And if we look at the differences, we have magnets here. And these magnets, I can push these magnets. They're glued, but they can be pushed. And we have the receiving side here. Now, that's great to help keep it closed, but I know that magnets are not great because they can demagnetize cards. So I'd recommend these are removed. But besides that, I actually like how the knockoff handles cards and cash better. I've never really been a fan. This really seems cheap to me on the SECRID. And this plastic piece, I don't know. It just seems unbecoming of the SECRID name. Now, how about the lifter mechanism? Well, they are virtually the same. If we take a look interior, we can see that they are both the same, honestly, when it comes to the plastic part of it. The only difference comes down between the spring. The spring is hidden, it's under the lifter on the SECRID, and it's exposed on the knockoff. Now that difference provides a bit of a tension comparison, where the SECRID is more of a softer touch, but the knockoff is really quite strong. I'm not sure if that's a preference or if I have a preference for that, but that is the difference. Okay, now we're getting into something very interesting. This is the Dango M1 Maverick, and here's its knockoff here. Original price on the M1 Maverick is $129. The knockoff, $15.75. Now the original weighs 96 grams. This weighs 105 grams. This is the closest, most accurate knockoff of the bunch that we're going to look at today for many reasons. And in almost every detail they are the same, even down to the lining of the leather. Now, I know that Dango leather has improved over time. It was originally a genuine leather, and you can tell how it's sewn here. It's not the best by way of how it's put together. It's manageable, and of course you're looking for thinness because the main focus is on this body here. But you can see we have the slider here. We've got our screw holes for the different accessories that comes from Dango. We turn it over. We can see we have the screws here. We do a quick comparison. You can see that we have the same going on for us with the knockoff. We have the screw holes. We've got this plate right in here that's held down by the silicone strap, which is integrated in here just the same as it's integrated in with the original. And you can see there are some slight differences by way of the CNCing. This is a little bit thicker, and we have some good edge work that's done on the original versus here. But otherwise, you're looking at this saying, wow, what is really the difference? And you look at these screws that are on the knockoff versus on the original, and this wallet, this knockoff, for substantially less money, let's put it together properly, is very close. Now let me get some cards in here. Let's see how that works. So I like the smoothness of this, and let's see, we can get some cards underneath here. Put 4 cards in, and there they go. They lock into place nicely. Not a big deal. Use the thumb push in the bottom. Let's grab the knockoff here. You can push that up. They get in, go in. This slides down. Again, virtually the same. Boy, hard to tell between these two wallets. Another Dango product we have here, this is the A10. This is the original. This one is priced for $79. The knockoff is priced for $20.45. Not super cheap, but there is a significant difference. By way of weight, the original is 65 grams and the knockoff is 69 grams. And again, these are done very well. There is some deficiency here, which I'll point out. So they're both made of aluminum. They're both CNC'd. The tolerances on the top slider mechanism here are really good. So if we take this slider piece, the original, you can see, of course, fitting the original, it should work perfectly. We take this to the knockoff, slide this in here, and guess what? Works just fine too. That's not the issue. The issue comes on the rear component. And specifically, it comes into the receiver mechanism. So this receiver mechanism right here is really the same that we have right here. I mean, just, same principle, just a little different. If we bring up the The knockoff, you can see that it's a little bit longer, and it isn't as tight in tolerances to the side. And I'll show you when we try and put cards in what that means. All right, I've got 4 cards again. Let's put these in right to the original. You can see how they hit nicely as they go in. No conflict between the 2 guide rails, and they slide in just fine. I mean, this is not a difficult exercise with the original, as you would expect. So let's grab the knockoff and let's see what we do here. So we try and guide these in, and it's not as easy. And one of the difficulties is when you're trying to get even a single card in, it seems to want to jump, and it jumps above that guardrail right there, the guide rail. Just doesn't seem, it's not as smooth, and it's not as precision CNC'd as you would hope. But, you know, if that's not something that bothers you, well, then between these two, you actually have a pretty good knockoff here to work with. If there's an example of a knockoff that just didn't really do well, it's this. This is the Trayvax Contour and its apparent knockoff here. The original price on this one is $140. The knockoff, $20.40. 78 grams, 61 grams. Now, they're both CNC'd by way of the main plate that we have here on the bottom. This one is a brass plate, that's what you can see in the color that we have here. And this one has a full grain veg tan leather that's part of it on the back. And you can tell that there are some substantial size differences between the two. If we compare them right there, the knockoff is quite much bigger. Now, the knockoff here is an aluminum plate base. It is a little different, we'll talk about, and it has a chrome tanned genuine leather here on the back. Not bad by any stretch, I mean, it's just not as good as the original. And they took some liberties with the configuration. You can tell with the eyelet that's over here. You can see from the contour that it's up here in the corner. I have taken issue with this in the past. I think it's obtrusive. And you've got this grip component here on the bottom. And so they've taken, I think, a few different Trayvax wallets and tried to put them together in this particular knockoff, but they really didn't do all that well. The thickness of the metal is about the same between them, not a lot to be concerned about. Here's something that I didn't quite like, if you can follow the screws on the knockoff. This screw right here, I can see some daylight there. This was not screwed in properly. So again, as you would expect on knockoffs, quality is a little bit of a different. The adjustment pin that's here is very similar to the adjustment pin that we have on the original, and they try to make it look pretty much the same in what we have going on here. And for those who aren't familiar, we do have a wallet here, the last one, called Bankr. And we reviewed this very early on in the channel, and they still sell this wallet. And of course, you can get a knockoff here. The original is priced at $69, this knockoff at $10.75. The original weight, 72 grams, the knockoff, 71 grams. They are both made from aluminum. And what's interesting on this is that the elastic, and you can see on both cases, it's easier to see in this silver version, is that they're contained seamlessly inside both sides of this wallet. Well, that looks good aesthetically from both. The biggest difference, though, is the recovery if the elastic breaks. You contact the company here, and they will give you a new one at a reduced price, but you're just going to have to buy another knockoff. Now, for the difference in price, hey, why not? But let's look at some of the differences here. So the receiver end, as you can see, is about the same. They have the notches here so the cards can go in nicely. But it does get a little different here in the back. The edges on the knockoff are actually sharper, and they're not rounded as well as we see here on the Bankr. But it's not enough to cut you. It's just a minor thing that I noticed between them. Otherwise, they are very much the same. So that was a very enlightening video for those who think knockoffs are just as good as the originals. That said, if you're still on the fence about spending money on a wallet you're not sure you'd like, then by all means go pick up a knockoff, try it, and see. And if you do like it, then grab an original. You won't regret it. Now take a look at this video right here, because if you liked this one, I think you'll like this one as well. Never be taken in by a cheap price, as you always get what you pay for. We'll see you in the next review. Bye.